I'm here with Jamail Larkins, who's the founder of Larkins Enterprise, which is an aviation holding company based out of Atlanta. Can you just tell me a little bit about the history of it and what you guys actually do?
I was really fortunate. I was 12 years old, found out about airplanes and aviation, fell in love with it, took my very first
And started
flight.
flying them, unlike the rest of us, right?
Yeah, when I was 12, but had a major problem. No one in my family flew. I had no connection to the aviation industry whatsoever, and it was really expensive. You know, the average per hour flight cost at the time was probably about $200 an hour.
Wow.
Being 12 years old, coming up with that type of cash was pretty difficult. Right. So after about a year of learning how to fly, I got to the point that I could actually safely handle an airplane in solo flight. I tried to lower the cost of flying for myself and get an exemption to fly solo before my 16th birthday. That didn't quite work out, right. So then I realized that if I was going to continue to fly, I had to be able to make enough money to do it on my own.
And so you started selling training material. That was the first thing, right?
First thing that I started doing was selling $30 books and videos
right.
to local pilots, flight training
7 of them, 1 hour.
Yes, exactly. And that's just gross revenue
right,
to begin with, so a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But over time, about a 10-year period, it evolved from selling $30 books and videos to buying and selling airplanes.
Which is amazing. So you buy and sell both jets and props?
That is correct. So
and that's also through Larkins Enterprises, but a subsidiary, right?
A subsidiary of it called Ascension Aircraft. So we started up Ascension Aircraft a couple years ago, and that's been the primary way that we sell and lease airplanes.
And it sounds like you're doing something even more remarkable. You're kind of doing a fractional ownership, sort of a net jets, I guess, for private.
NetJets flight options for personal airplanes or private aircraft. And it's been working out pretty great. There's been a lot of companies that have been involved kind of in this space, but we have a couple of unique things that we've done to kind of create our own version of it. And we've been able to do pretty good. We had a competitor that was involved inside of the Atlanta area that had a 12-year head start on us. We were able to become #1 in market share in less than 20 months from our very first
that's amazing.
flight.
Congratulations. So, but you were telling me earlier that, so if I am a private pilot and I want to buy an aircraft, how much does that cost me and how much do I use that on average?
It depends on what type of airplane. You could go out there and get a 20, 30-year-old airplane for $50,000 to $100,000. But if you wanted to go out there and get the world's best-selling single-engine airplane, right. That's going to roughly cost you about $850,000 in round numbers. The average general aviation pilot flies somewhere between 80 to 100 hours a year, which is about the equivalent of 3 to 5 days a month. And then the rest of the time, the airplane's sitting in a hangar and they never see it. So why not go ahead and buy a portion of that airplane right. that gives you access to it just as much as you would if you owned it, but be about a third of the cost that it would be otherwise.
And how many pilots have signed up for this program?
So we have about 40 pilots in the Atlanta area in the last 20 months that have signed up inside of the program. And to give you an idea, general aviation for the Cirrus, there's typically about 200 of those airplanes that are sold on an annual basis here inside the United States.
Wow. Now, do you fly both props and jets?
Yes, so I get the opportunity to fly a wide range of airplanes. I've had the opportunity to fly over 36 different types of airplanes, everything ranging from a Cessna 172 up to corporate jets and everything in between.
Are you talking to a man who has broken the sound barrier?
I have. I had the opportunity to go flying with the United States Navy Blue Angels and had the chance to go Mach 1.2, literally a couple hundred feet off the coast of Florida one time.
Terrifying?
More than one of the most amazing experiences you could ever possibly imagine.
It sounds terrifying. So if you were going to fast forward from here, and I'm sitting down with you here 5 years from now, are you still doing the same thing? Are you still in the aviation business, or what's going to be going on?
Definitely inside of the aviation business, and I hope to take our fractional program, and instead of having just one hub based in Atlanta, to hopefully having 20 of them across the country by then.
Do you know where your next hub might be?
Next hub's going to be Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Great. Well, good luck with that, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.